How do you make one of the biggest albums in electronic music history with 1 megabyte of memory? In 1994, the Prodigy's Music for the Jilted Generation went straight to #1. The machine it was built on was a teenager's keyboard from Essex, with less sample memory than a single photo on your phone. Hans Zimmer has 100 servers, Dead Mouse has $1 million of modular and vintage synths. Liam Howlett needed 1 megabyte. I'm a music producer and a software engineer. I write software and firmware for audio companies, and I teach audio plugin development and digital signal processing in London. Now, Liam named the Prodigy after the Moog Prodigy, the first synth he ever bought, but that isn't the machine that built their sound. If the band was named after the synth that actually mattered, they'd be called the Roland W30. Now, the W30 is an interesting keyboard. It's a sampler built on Roland's S50 engine, but it comes preloaded with sounds and ROM, so it isn't empty when you turn it on. But it's brutally limited. It has half a megabyte of sample RAM, which everyone, including their engineer, rounds up to a meg. It samples at 12-bit, mono only, and at the full rate of 30 kilohertz, you get about 14 seconds of sampling time. It's not expandable. If you needed more time, then you drop the rate to 15 kilohertz, and that's exactly what they did. For reference, a 3-minute stereo WAV file is over 30 meg, and they had 1. So why this machine? There were arguably better samplers around at the time. Liam was a teenager on a graphic designer's wage, so it came down to maximum value for money. He was a keyboard player, so a sampling keyboard made much more sense than an MPC-style beatbox. The Akai samplers were rack mounts with no sequencer, so you'd need a MIDI keyboard and a sequencer on top of them. Ensoniq did make an all-in-one sampling workstation, the EPS, but it was brand new, and Ensoniq never really had the presence in the UK that Roland and Akai did. The 16 Plus and the ASR10 was still a couple of years away. The W30 was the whole studio in one box. A keyboard, had sounds, it was a sampler, 16-track sequencer, and it also had 8 separate outputs, so you could process every track individually. On Ensoniq, that was an extra expansion. Now, in the interest of accuracy, it wasn't the only machine on the album, but it was the brain. Everything ran from its sequencer. Hanging off it were a TB303 and TR909, which sounds insane, but you could pick them up really cheap back then. Everything then ran through 16 dBx compressors, and they were chosen because they were the cheapest you could rent. So the heavy squash sound that everyone now calls the Prodigy sound was really largely because of budget. Then everything hit a Mackie 32-channel 8-bus mixer, which was really driven hard and went down to DAT for mastering. 3 years later, they had #1 records and they could afford any studio on earth. They tried mixing Fat of the Land in a commercial room. They hated it. They ended up finishing the whole thing back at Liam's place on the Mackie. Now, I find this story more challenging than the others we've looked at. It's easy to say I could never make world-class music because I don't have a Neve preamp or a Pultec EQ or something. But it was never about the equipment, never has been. It's all about talent.